That's true. That's how you get things done.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad thing.
We've tried to step up our officer presence as
Good.
best we can.
Yeah.
So.
And so we've been doing that as well.
We can wait a couple of weeks, put it back
Try
out
it
if y'all
again,
want to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. Let's see if maybe the looking at it dies down, and then we'll put them back out and see what happens. Can we schedule that for maybe middle of December, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we can wait a couple of weeks, put them out, and put them back again in a couple more weeks.
Okay.
Doesn't,
Good deal.
it's not a big deal.
So long story short, we're looking at it. As soon as you said something, we went and looked at it, and we won't quit, clearly, because you won't quit. So therefore, that's how you get things done. So that's one thing I wanted to bring up. I'm glad you came so you could hear that. And again, we'll continue to look at it and go from there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Short and sweet.
We're on the clock.
I apologize for that being paper and not on your thing. We just got all the data in yesterday, so I kind of short notice I wasn't able to get it in there. The only thing I've got is, we've got 2 construction crews in town working on intersections, and hopefully they'll be finishing up here pretty soon. We got one that's working right now on Emerson and Ballard and North and Wiggs. And we've got one that's gonna be at Clipper and Maple, Ninth and Jones, Legion and Dixie Roadway, and Slicer and Fourth. And then that'll be all of our, all the intersections for this year. We'll do a few more next year. Y'all don't have any questions, that's all I've got. That's it.
They're not gonna allow me to
So I, you know,
So is that storm as well then?
No.
We do need to
No,
have
that was
a
a
street, we do need to have a street meeting. We'll just email and text amongst ourselves and figure that out. But just we know we'll have a street meeting sometime soon.
And storm.
Same thing, we need to have a meeting as well.
You wanna do them together?
Might as well. Works pretty good. I just kinda would like to remind the community with all the leaves falling right now, some of them are pretty good size too. If you have some issues with any type of drainage issue in your neighborhood, you might just check the drains and see if they're clogged up with leaves, because that has been a problem. It could be something that simple. Otherwise, Keith, you go ahead.
talk long, but I get to talk twice. This will be short too. One of the crews, Hessling Construction, that's working over on Emerson and Ballard, they are also going to be adding a couple of storm drain boxes over there, because we got an issue with water staying on the east side of the road because of the way the road was crowned. It doesn't come across to the other side and drain, so we're going to have a couple of extra boxes put in to drain that water off of there, and hopefully we won't have that issue there anymore. The next thing is the vac truck. You know, we've been doing a lot of work up at Jackson and Tatum we put new storm drain boxes and pipes in there, and we're still working on the line from St. Francis to Vandeventer, the one that was 100% stopped up. The line is approximately, on Google Earth, straight across, 650 feet. So far, they've cleaned 370 feet of it with a 24-foot line, 100% blocked. So we're getting close. It's going slow because we got other things we have to do, so we're not spending every day on it. But we're hoping in about another 280 feet we'll have that opened up, and that'll help the flow there a lot more. But I've checked every time it rains, and it actually is doing better there than it has in the past. So hopefully we won't be on Facebook with our pond out there anymore in the future. That's all I've got, unless y'all have any questions. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, industrial.
Nothing from the public, for the public at this time for me.
Okay. All right, I don't have anything down for unfinished, so new business. We've had the hearing for the Madison Street. Is there any other action you need to take on that tonight, Terry?
No.
Okay.
We'll have an ordinance at the next day.
Okay. All right. Next in your packet, you had the, aluminum wire, city ordinance.
A copy of the ordinance. First reading, an ordinance amending the NEC electrical code is adopted by the city of Kennett to prohibit the use of aluminum wiring in any structure.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then, when do we open up for discussion?
After the
Second
second
reading
reading.
now or again after the second reading.
We'll go ahead and open up for if we have any discussion from the council or our, citizens out there.
I have a question. We're banning this completely with this ordinance inside the city limits?
Aluminum wiring in structures, yes.
On new construction or the existing constructions as well?
New.
Now, does that mean through the entire house or from the meter base to the fuse box?
Inside the structure.
Inside the structure.
Inside the structure.
What do most houses in town have now?
Copper.
For most houses in town?
What's the code says about that? What does the code say about that?
The code reads that, get in here, aluminum wiring is allowable, but with certain specifications. It has to be twice the size. It has to be torqued to the manufacturer's specifications, and a few other small things. But it is allowable through the code.
So what's the reason we're amending this then?
Because of the safety reasons. Aluminum wiring will catch fire faster than copper, mostly at the connections, because aluminum wire expands and contracts with temperature, and it will loosen a connection on aluminum wiring.
Are we seeing that in existing houses now?
That was my question. How many of our structure fires have been contributed to that?
I wouldn't know.
See, like gas and water runs aluminum from pole to pole.
Pole to
the
pole.
house, right?
Yes. And the reasoning for that is the weight
And
and
the
the
cost.
cost.
Yeah.
So-
Aluminum's a heck of a lot cheaper than copper.
Right, so
Yes.
do we move the cost over to the, I mean, if it was all the way through the house and then the outlets and all that, I could see that, but
I don't think an electrician good knowingly would do something like that in building a new structure, a new home.
yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Be our guest.
Back in the 60s, 50s, they were building mobile homes with aluminum wiring going from outlet to outlet to outlet to outlet, switches, lights. Lost a lot of mobile homes. That's why they quit.
It's understandable.
It wasn't for the fact that they went from the meter base to the breaker box. I got some prices on wiring. If my grandma's dead, my grandpas are all gone, I don't know about y'all. You can get triplex aluminum for $2.16 a foot, and that's triplex, that's 3 wires. 2-aught copper to get the same benefit costs you $7.16 per foot. Now, I wouldn't want my grandma doing it. I wouldn't want Bill to have to do that.
What's the average foot from meter base to?
Pardon?
What's the average feet? Is there an average?
Depends
feet?
on who the person is that's building the house, whether they wanna go on the outside wall right behind the meter base, or if they wanna put it on the inside wall. If you put it on the inside wall, it makes more sense because you get to it later, but that's them, not me. I try to talk them into going on the inside wall where you can get to it later if you have to. To me, that makes more sense, but we're back to, if you want to ban aluminum wire going in the receptacles, lights, switches, whatever, have no problem with that, because it's probably not gonna be any better today than it was back then. Going from the meter base to the breaker box,
Somebody told me that the
agree with
hospital in
that?
Poplar
No.
Bluff
Ain't
ain't
gonna
built
be
with
no better
aluminum
than
wire
it was
all
back
over.
then,
Anyway.
I don't think so.
so you would agree with that. You would agree with what he just said. It would not be any better now than what it was back then, going from receptacle to receptacle to receptacle inside a home.
Oh, no.
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 Yeah, we definitely don't want that.
Yeah, definitely don't want that. That's a little thing about the ordinance I'm a little worried about. But see, I was under the impression that more people use copper or aluminum from meter base to
I was
But
under
like
the same
James says,
impression.
most of the time it's a short distance, so it doesn't amount to a whole lot.
90% of the time, it's
If Victor says it's for safety reasons,
But if-
I
but
don't
if
see
we
the cost
ban
be
it,
a
they can't.
big,
Yeah, if we ban it, they can't. If it's 3 foot and it's $5 versus $2, it's $15. If
it's not a drastic
If it's 50
expense.
foot, if they're putting it in the middle of the house, putting it in the middle of the house, you're probably building a new construction, so it's not that big a deal, but I don't know. But it's okay in our code book to use aluminum now,
yes.
from meter base to fuse box.
And it's gotta be certain specifications.
Can we rewrite it to
It's
where
gotta be.
it doesn't, and it's okay?
Well, sure.
Yeah, I'm with
Man
you.
up there.
Can
I
we
understand
can
what
we
you're
rewrite
saying,
it to
whatever
keep
you
it
want, right.
from receptacle to receptacle? Cause I know I've heard that the
If you
hospital.
just mention outlawing Romex, that'll take care of that. Aluminum Romex
What is that?
to be
Inside
banned.
stuff? I'm not an electrician, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not much aluminum Romex used now, is there?
No. I heard they used some in the new hospital at Poplar Bluff, but that's
See, I've heard that.
hearsay.
I've heard that too.
And sometimes they say it's the biggest liar in the world, so I don't know.
We must be talking to the same person.
What I'd heard about the hospital and they had, the electrician that bid the job had bid it and was gonna use aluminum. Well, and the city had to go back, and it was a big to-do because they had to make an ordinance that wouldn't allow it because the code did allow it,
Yeah.
to keep them from doing that. So, but that's what I'd heard.
Are you seeing a lot of aluminum used now in new construction here in town?
Some, and I don't think that the customer knows, you know,
That's another.
that,
You mean it on receptacles and stuff?
no, not on receptacle.
Oh, you talking about just from the
Yes.
breaker box,
Yes.
meter base to the breaker box?
Yes.
Well,
And my thing
from the meter
is-
base to the main box, it would encourage them to keep it close to the meter base, and the expense will be minimum, so.
Well, it would, but Neely Walker,
Uh-huh,
when it came in and it was converted over to apartments,
uh-huh.
the bank of meters is out by Jackson Street. The building is where?
Mhm.
All of it's aluminum wire. Because of cost.
Okay.
What would it have cost them to run aluminum wire?
We need to look at safety versus cost.
Well, sure.
Whatever
But
is
if it's
best for
done
safety.
according to the National Electric Code like it should be, you've got torquing you've gotta do, you've got a contact space that you're supposed to put on there, and your connectors
Yeah,
are
but
supposed to be,
who's gonna make sure that they're doing that?
that's his job.
You won't be able to check the torquing on,
I don't have a torque wrench
yeah, so,
to check it.
that's what I'm
City,
saying.
city
It's up
can
to-
buy, city can buy one for $50.
Yeah.
I mean, that just takes him a little more time to do what should be done.
So what's the recommendation from you,
For me, ban Romex aluminum in town,
period?
period.
No, it's
Unless they can come up with a better way of making aluminum wire for receptacles and stuff, don't allow it. But from the meter base to the breaker box inside, if it's done properly, you gotta use one size bigger for aluminum than you do for copper.
But if
So,
they don't,
so this doesn't cover what you're talking about.
Yes.
I haven't seen that, I don't know.
But that just says prohibit the use of aluminum wire.
Yes.
Well, that's taking all of it out.
That's all of it.
That's all of it.
And I've got one more thing. I know he, Mr. Wanick mentioned that his grandmother and grandmothers, we wouldn't put that cost on them. I'd rather my grandmother have that cost than have the safety.
That's true.
And not having to worry about her house burning because of a piece of aluminum wire.
But if the wire is done properly, you agree that it's done right, and it will not burn.
I know that it will expand and contract and
How many, yes, it will, if it gets too hot, and that's why, because the wire's too small, or it's not tight enough. Now, what is the National Electric Code say, and I'm sorry for turning my back on you guys, but what does the National Electric Code say on how many amps you can pull per that leg?
well, I know that some appliances will pull enough amps to burn aluminum wire before they throw a breaker.
But that's for the aluminum wire that's going to the appliance. But I'm talking about when you build an entrance to a house, what's the percentage you're supposed to use?
We're
According to
talking
National
about an
Electric.
ordinance here, I'm not.
Well, that's the same difference. 80%. You're allowed to pay 80% of what you build a service for. And that wire's gotta be large enough to take care of that 80%. Now, I'm not saying people don't use more than that. But like I told you last time this came up, I had more trouble with breaker boxes that has aluminum buses than I'd have with meter bases having aluminum wire. Because they're capable of pulling with copper or aluminum. And I said, no, sure.
Okay.
I wish we was talking about trash service. I know all about that.
That's coming up next.
Oh, man.
I would have to say I'm more confused now than I was when
Yeah, I
we
know.
started.
I've tried to talk to electricians about this. I have.
The key to it is that if we ban Romex within the city, within
The
the.
aluminum, the
No,
aluminum.
no, no,
Yes,
But the-
aluminum Romex, then we have done our
But
job
then
there.
to Victor's point, you can use other kinds of aluminum, correct?
No. Inside.
Not-
Inside.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it outside the structure.
okay,
It's just inside the structure.
right.
Okay.
And
And see this, you mean
In
from
most
the
cases,
pole to
that
the
distance will be
fuse
short
box
distance.
yeah,
Is
so-
that okay?
from the meter
Yeah.
base to the breaker panel,
is okay.
no. If it's aluminum,
It's not
I
okay.
don't.
So if this was changed to say prohibit the use of aluminum Romex,
You still
I
wouldn't.
would accept that.
that would be
You
a
wouldn't.
better ordinance.
No,
Then they can still
Mine's
run
8
aluminum
inches.
through conduit.
Mine's 8 inches apart.
And 8 inches isn't gonna be a massive cost.
No, I mean, just, my meter's on one side of the brick, my breaker
Yeah,
box is
and
on the
most-
other side of the brick.
90%
times
of them
it will
will
be
be
that.
3 feet.
That will be the case.
But my house was also built in 78, I think, so.
Well, that's what they pay some big bucks for right here.
So the question is to the council, do you want to have a second reading, or would you like to have it amended?
Or we can table it for tonight.
yeah. I mean, we've got to come up with some kind of wording that's gonna be acceptable, because we obviously aren't the professionals that can decide
Yeah.
what's right.
I agree with Mr. Penosis. I think we should table it for this evening.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to table it, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion tabled. Okay.
Mayor, can I ask a question? Will this be brought back up at the next meeting? Is that what happened?
Hopefully with more information.
Do we have any construction that's using aluminum at this time?
That's a good question.
No.
So do we need to act tonight or can we wait 2 weeks?
I don't know, somebody may come in here tomorrow, I don't know.
It's there.
Well, knowing that if it's gonna take place in 2 weeks, they might start using aluminum tomorrow, is what I'm saying, and we may deal with somebody's safety.
I don't think we have enough information, I don't.
Well, use Google, I guess, this week, that's what I was looking.
So we'll table this to the next city council and bring that up on December 1st. All right, next, let's talk about trash here, Mr. Marco.
Sir?
Oh, yeah, it's about trash, so we have the approval of the bids for the trash service. See if I can pull that back up. Where'd it go?
Mr. Mayor, before you start reading this, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Before anyone knows any of the amounts of these bids, does the city get to pick which bid we take? Do we have to take the lowest bid, because we've already been down this road one time?
The answer is you do not have to take the lowest bid.
So, all right,
I remember us getting into that once upon a time.
okay.
What cities can do is take the lowest and best bid.
So-
It doesn't have to be the lowest bid.
All right, so we'll start out with the various small dumpsters. This, the bids were opened on 11/5/2020 at 4 p.m. We'll start with the small dumpsters. The Friendly Waste Disposal did $600 a month. For Public Services, their bid was $512 a month. And Sharp Disposal was $470 per month. So, Sharp was the low bid at $470. Well, do we need to do each one, do the dumpsters first and then roll off?
I would, look for bids.
Yeah, so,
What's the name of the second company?
the Friendly Waste was $600, Republic was $512, and Sharp was $470.
It's a big difference.
I'm for local. No surprise.
It's a difference, yes, Steve.
Did all these bids meet the criteria that we put in the bid request?
Actually, none of them did. You know, in the request, you know, I had it worded where like so many 4 foot, you know, so many 4-yard ones, and so many 2 yards and all that, and none of them gave that exact number, but what they did give was how much each one was. So then I multiplied that by what we needed to get what, you know, it would cost us.
Then I think we should put this out for rebid, and they did it under the criteria that we asked for. That's my opinion, because that closes all doors.
Yeah, I already heard the bids.
For X amount of tons, or
Well,
I heard the bid on Brenda's
they
map.
just get every week.
how did you do the conversions, what I'm not getting here?
Well, they gave their price for each dumpster, and they emptied it once a week.
Different sizes?
Yes,
They all hit different sizes?
4, 6, and 8.
yes, they.
4, 6,
right.
and 8?
2,
4,
2,
6.
4, 6.
2, 4, 6, and they all gave, like, their amounts for each one, but they
They
were,
varied the size of the.
yeah, they did.
So what was the bid request for, what size?
Oh, it happened. It may be included,
Hang on,
We wanted to make sure that they're bidding the same.
yeah, it says
same.
the city of Kennett has accepted bids for provision of trash containers, dumpsters, city use. Required containers as follows: 4 4-yard, 1 6-yard, and 4 2-yard containers to be emptied weekly. Sealed bids will be accepted at the city clerk's office, 200 Cedar Street, Kennett, Missouri, until 4 p.m. on November 5th, 2020. The city is an equal opportunity employer.
and if you go on down, it's, included is what they did actually send us
Yeah.
for each company. But they changed